all you devils out there. Happy Friday. Well, the party is on. So is risk. So here we go. Now we're going to look at the crypto majors. I got a few alts here teed up. I try to find things that are, within the range of a trade opportunity to get on a watch list, if not something that's ripe at the moment. Now there's a number of counts that have been blown up because of this very bullish price actions. That's not uncommon, right? A count is just a snapshot in time, and a day like we're having, or a week like we're having, we got to rethink things, reorient. Fortunately, Elliott gives you that flexibility, and there's almost always a way to solve the puzzle with our pieces, if you will. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin, because this is a good example. Now, let me get that off of here. It's not that the idea of a fourth being in, that we've got to abandon that. I think that's still the case. But for good chart craft and Elliott craft here, this is something that, my team and I looked at, and also a couple of talented Elliottians have commented over the last couple of weeks. This has been my primary. And I don't think it's a radical change here that we've got the fourth in here, and we're heading up for a fifth, potentially fifth of the fifth here. Not again, these are just randomly placed up here. I'm not making a projection. But again, in the interest of good Elliott chart craft here, there is a bit of an imbalance here as you look at it. And let's just review that quickly here. Just again, it likely doesn't make a difference here in terms of where the pivot is. But again, it could make a difference in another scenario or with other assets here. So let's just review this and understand what we're looking at. So as it sits right now, this has been my primary. 1, 2, 3, looking for 4, going for 5. Now, right look, certainly, where's the potential discrepancy amongst Elliotticians? Well, the length of the 4 relative to the 2, not ideal, right? Ideal. It's a bit imbalanced. In other words, the 2 being too short. And you can just take a quick, we just use the ruler to measure that. So if we look here, let me get probably need this. Let's get my ruler here. So from that pivot to the proposed 2 low, that's 13 days. Now, if we do the same thing up here to the proposed third high, to the proposed, I guess we'd be over here. That's whether it's here or here, right? You can interpret either way. Oh, geez, now I lost it. That's, if we go here, that's 52 bars. That's 40, 47, 48 bars compared to the 13. It's just a little imbalanced. Again, it's not radical, but there's an alternate count here that I think, again, just in the interest of better Elliott craft and chart craft, I think there's a better fit over here that we want to consider. And this is my team, one of my team members here, Sensei Wonka. He's had this as his primary the whole time, and I always struggled with the idea that we had truncated here on this first one wave, but it actually balances the count out a bit better, right? So kudos to Wonka for catching this. But now if we look at this, that same discrepancy, so if we work with the idea that we did truncate the fifth here, and then we go through an expanded B to that C, well, now I've got, get to that low. 23 days, 48, 49 here. So at least we're about halfway as opposed to a fraction of it. So I do think this balances out a little bit better, but it does force a recounting up here to get us to that third high. Now that's an extreme, well, of course it's Bitcoin. So this move here is dramatic. So if we recount it, it would be, well, let's count it out here. Just use this. I think that makes it easier to spot. 1, 2, 3. We can go over here for the 4 and then going up for the 5. So we balance it out a bit better, I think. All right, so something like that, good fit, right? This is just, it's less skinny over here, so we get a better looking 2, I think, for purists, right? And plenty of purists like to comment on my counts, right? But I think that there's a good point there, that we just balance out a little bit better. So what that does for us, again, as we looked at this last week here, this is like literally out of the trading playbook here. We had identified here all the potential liquidity that was down here, and lo and behold, right now you don't want to say they, right? What happened here, right? Algos, market makers, astute trader. That's not the point. the point is, it's the kind of thing you want to look for. Now, initially, right, it's a little scary. It's like, right? Are we heading down towards this pivot, which we had, since November had cautioned that, we don't want to see that break because there's just no support until we get down, till about 73. Well, I mean, this is just classic, right? We're just grabbing all the liquidity, and we use this analogy often, right? If you're going to be on a long trek up to the mountaintop, well, you're going to need to refuel and grab some liquidity. Where do they do it, right? Where's the liquidity? Every one of these has been a liquidity grab, right? Every pivot is grabbing a prior pivot's liquidity, right? And here's the big one, and there's the reaction. So it's the kind of thing. Well, so number one, please don't ever be that guy, right? Because people sold that, right? Of course they did. Oh, fuck, here we go, right? It's over, right? If anything, what we have here is the fingerprints of large players. Again, you want to call it algos, you want to call it market makers, you want to call it somebody who fucked you because you put your stop too close. Either way, right? How do we know that that's muscle, right? As I would like to use that analogy, because look at the displacement, right? So they are literally. Not to be crude, but people are just getting bent over here, right? People that just don't know any better, right? They don't know. Oh, don't put your stop that close, right? God, that's where all the liquidity is. I know, right? It's easy to say, oh, yeah, man, but that's hindsight. Well, no, it's not, right? We talked about this a week ago. It's like, oh, where's the liquidity, right? If they're going to come get it, it's too obvious, right? It's literally too obvious. And this is almost too obvious to believe, right? It's like, oh, we're going to grab all this liquidity here, and then we're going to run, and we're going to pump with displacement. Oh, I'm on a 4 hour. Let me get rid of that. I know that's annoying since I talk with my hand on the mouse, right? So here, boom, grabbed. Anyone inexperienced enough to sell that is, there's probably a liquidity event as well. Boom, off we go. So now, can we get a count in there? Well, just looking at that, let's see. Hang on, I've got it over. As I was pulling that up, I get an alert going as Bitcoin's crossing 105. So as we look here now, kind of zeroing in, there's a 1 hour, right? So here's the liquidity sweep that we just looked at. Let's zoom in over here. We can get to a count that gets us to an ABC. There's a 5 that finishes here. Now this gets, it's a little, let's see, what do I want? Maybe a 30, make that easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 1, 2, 3 looks like good looking 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right now, it's a very shallow 2, which Bitcoin is notorious for, right? Because once it starts to go, right, it goes. So it's not like that. I mean, for Bitcoin, this is not that unusual. Well, let me get you up here. Now, note, I'm out of log scale because I'm here at 89 up to 105, right? I don't need to be in log scale here, thankfully, right? So pulling from here, let's get the full fib suite on there. Right to the edge of this liquidity, you can just kind of, all of this, right? We come right to the edge of it, pop, right? So we're, let's see, that's crypto, so I can't put a volume profile on that because that's an aggregator. But you can just imagine this would be a high volume node. So we come right to the edge of it and pop. So 1, 2. Right, for Bitcoin, that's not unusual to have a very shallow 2. Or in fact, most of crypto is kind of challenging what you would anticipate as just a normal retracement here. They're very shallow. And when we're running like this, well, you see it all over the place. You see truncations, you see running flats, market's impatient, people are greedy. It's what moves the market, right? Fear and greed. Greed is in full throttle right now. Oh my God, it's just, you can never overestimate it, as you've heard me say many times, right? So we are in full greed mode. So this sure looks like it's a third. If it's a third, and we're going to do this as a 1, 2, well, we're not playing with Al here, right? So these targets, we got to draw them differently. We still want to do an alternate price projection. So if I take it from the low through the proposed pivot swing of the one high, again, out of log scale, well, if we're going to get a traditional, is anything in Bitcoin traditional, but a typical, again, in the where did they usually go? That's 116 for the third, right? If we're going to push all the way off of the 1, 2 here and get a 1618. Now, it's a little bit, again, it's much more common to have this come deeper, right? To something like this, at least a 50, where you'd already be at the 100. So here, again, are we absolutely certain this is the count? maybe not absolutely, but certainly a very strong candidate, right? I don't see a better solution here. 1, 2, heading for 3. That's 116. And by the way, that would not be the top, right? We're not trying to pick a top here. We're just trying to play along with the wave swings and look for good positioning here. So would that have been something obvious to buy? No, right? That's not what I'm saying. I did not buy there. But if you're in it now, we're careful here. As we approach the all-time high, right? We've seen this. Oh, is this it? Yeah, we've seen this many times, right? Bitcoin, where's the next, right, is, we can credit ICT here for bringing this to the public's attention, right? If we go from internal to external liquidity, well, if we're heading for external, it's sitting right there. So think of it this way. If we're going to do a third up here, we're going to need to do it via an impulse, right? That's not optional. So we can just draw it out like this, right? So if this is some sort of a 1, there will be some, maybe shallow, 3, 4, 5, something, again, I'm just kind of free drawing it here. But you get the idea here. If we're headed up there, we've got to do it through an impulse. Well, if indeed this is 1, 2, and we're heading into the 3, is this 1 of 3, right? That would be my thought right off the bat. Now that's a 30-minute. Go to a 3-hour. It doesn't look so extreme. Like, oh, we're just getting started here. Let's get that opened up a little bit so you can see it. 1, 2. Oh, watch for this, right? Again, we've seen this you see it down here. Don't be surprised if you see the same thing up here, which could set this up nicely. So we'd go 1, sweep the liquidity here because shorts have got their stops there. 1, 2, and we go again. So I'd be careful here. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm saying, it's just, you're chasing a little bit. All right, so be mindful of that. You wouldn't want to perhaps think carefully about going heavy here. Maybe if you just can't resist it, nibble a little bit here, but you keep some dry powder if in case we get a sweep and a retrace. So you've got additional capital to allocate if that's your intention, right? I'd be careful. Again, just discount premium, right? Are you buying? Well, if we take that whole range, are you buying discount or premium? Right? You're at the premium of the premium, right? You can't. Just duly noted, caution ahead, right? So wait for the retrace, right? It may be shallow, right? As we saw here. So be selective about your entries here, unless you're doing something which many people do, is just, every week or every day or whatever their capital allocation, just consistently be a buyer and you're averaging your cost. That's maybe not what we're, allocating here or advocating here, I should say, in terms of that approach, because we're technicians. So, that's sort of for the non-technician. For example, my entire family does it that way, right? They just buy every week, another load. Price not relevant, right? It's just accumulation. Okay, all right. So all of that said, looks like we're off to a pretty good start here, getting into this third. This will be the next telling event, right? Can we blow through it? Well, what would that be if we standard operating here? If we break structure, what do we anticipate? Not what do we know? What do we anticipate? Retrace, right? So here's the change of characters already happened, right? So if we break this, right, the liquidity grab, anticipate the retrace, and it would play perfectly in the 1, 2, getting up to a 3. There's nothing that says we have to stop here or here, right? When we could go 261, we could go to, we're up here, 128 on the third for Bitcoin, right? That would imply, you see them everywhere from $1 million to 5 million to 150 to 250, right? Everybody's got a porn number up there, right? I mean, that's some good bull porn right there. We shall see, right? It's going to be fun, right? It's a great time to be in crypto. Market, this volatility, the risk on, boy, it's everybody's a hero in a bull market. Everybody's a genius as well. So the count here is a little wacky with this, but essentially we've all looked at this. What sideways, right? For this entire period of time, very Wyckofian, right? If we're kicking here, right? This would be accumulation. Well, launch, accumulate, launch. Good time to be a crypto trader. I'll certainly say that. Okay, ETH. It's ugly. It's just ugly. It's Bitcoin's ugly sister. What is going on here? It's just a really unusual count. Now this, I've got a 3-day up here on Coinbase here. This is, I'm out of log scale. It's just surprising, right? So, I mean, this is the foundation, right? The Web3 is going to be built on this and Solana. So, okay, it's a little unusual. If this is some sort of a 4, now if we put it in log scale, it's going to look a little bit better here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right. Again, it's a little bit unusual, a bit abby, but I think we're kind of stuck with this. Let me get back over here. Right, it's a series of 3s. The 3 down. This gets a little tricky here. It's WXY here. This is Sensei PK's had this count for a long time. Some of my guys preferred this. I looked at a potential leading diag here, but we don't want to double here. If it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diag, it doesn't fit, right? And you wouldn't be anticipating a 50% retracement here. So this seems to play better here to get this done as a D. Now E, okay, well, now E can underthrow, can overthrow, either one. Again, it's just based on what we have here. This seems to be the best solution here. So now finishing here, let's go down to a daily. She might look at that and go, okay, God, could it be that shallow on the E wave? That's pretty shallow. So you might start looking, okay, how is Al dealing with this? All right, so what's he up to? Oh, let's get him right on there. Could that be why? Oh, let's get that right on there, right? So it's literally to the tick. Well, you might look at that and say, well, wait a minute, it's this thing you can never, ever, ever forget this, right? Or you'll just screw yourself. Remember, Al is always on the other side. What does that look like? Well, let's just check it. Swing low. So do you see the precision of that? Again, thank you, David Halsey. Swing to the 50, bounce to the golden zone, drop not only to the next golden, but to the target right there, and then bounce again. So, I mean, again, I know I feel like a broken record, but you have to know what Al did last, and on every time frame on both sides, or you'll buy or sell right into him. Right, and he's always going to be there waiting for that time when you forgot, or like, oh, wow, I forgot. Oh, shit, I didn't check. Oh, I mean, I could probably find 15 more in here. I mean, it's just, I've been saying this for 6 years. It's the dominant algo of the market. You better know what he did last. Okay, I know we personalize it like it's a guy, but it's just software. Okay, right? But a guy or people wrote it. I shouldn't be that sexist. Huh? Maybe it's a brilliant female coder wrote it, right? But boom, there you go, right? So again, I don't know how many tens of thousands of examples I've shown, right? So pay attention when Al's involved. Okay, and know where he is, or you'll buy or sell right into him. So is this our E? It's a crazy time in crypto. Potentially, right? That would be very shallow, but maybe. It's not my favorite chart, certainly, to say the least. I'd be looking for a little more confirmation here on this. I mean, if we go down to something, let's go to a 2 hour here. Again, not great looking here. And again, that's very shallow for an E. I'd like to see a little bit more conviction and like a little confirmation here. Maybe we at least swing that. Get up to that. Right, and so ideally it would be something along these lines here. We'd get maybe that's maybe that's a 4. So something in here 3. It'd be a very shallow 2, but it could be, right? Shallow 2 is notorious in a crypto bull. 3, 4, something like that. Then we're on our way, but then I'm waiting for that, right? So we can get the retrace, right? We are retracement traders. We are not. In fact, go out of our way to encourage you not to be a breakout trader, right? That's the surest way to lose money, with one exception, right? In equities, you can get away with that. Many do, and do it quite successfully, but only equities. Okay, so that's Ethereum. We're just a bit of a wait and see, but it certainly is technical. Okay, let me pause for a sec. Okay, Solana, the other building blocks of Web 3.0. Now, this is a very tricky count. It's interesting, right? This was a real challenge. I must have had 10 back and forths with one of my guys, with PK, one of my senseis, trying to find the best fit here. Oh, let me go back a little bit. Let's go to a 3 hour and get some perspective on this. All right, so it does look like we have a good candidate here for a 2, and for this to be done here. It's a little bit unusual to get this ripping kicker in the 5th here, but I don't see a better solution. We've got to deal with this impulse here, even though you kind of want to put the 4 here, and it looks like 3, 4, 5. It doesn't quite work. So you're kind of left with the extension here in the 1. So what would matter is, okay, well, that's a little ugly, but let's pull from the low and see how we look. Is there enough evidence here to suggest that perhaps we've got a low? Well, okay, so you'll note here, let's see. Let's get over there so you can see it. I mean, this must get old, right? You must get tired of seeing me do this. Hopefully, you're getting to the point where you would never, under any circumstances, consider a trade without checking for it again. So we've done Bitcoin, we've done Ethereum, now we're to Solana, and is there anything different? I don't think I've ever brought up a chart where it's not everywhere, right? It's the dominant algo in the market. You can fight me, argue with me, tell me this bullshit, unless you can show me 10,000 examples of your favorite algo. Oh, and I've probably shown more than that. I'd be in the 30 to 40,000 times. Every chart, every time frame, always there. You can deny it or you can embrace it. Your choice. Okay, so this, if we're going to get done here, and this, so much of crypto did this, it's a little tricky here. This one, it actually flies here. Yes, it's a smaller ABC to get us a Z here for a triple. We see this a bunch, many of them. We had a free fall, then we did a little of this, and then we went this. Well, some of them, right, you can't get the 2 in, right? It's such this, like, barely, like, oh, really? That's the 2? Again, when crypto's really volatile, it's not uncommon. Now that's a 3 hour. Shit, if I go to a 30-minute, oh, it's small. It's mighty tiny, but if we get down to a small enough time frame like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can get it done. And then we go into a triangle here. So granted, it's much smaller than the first WXY. It's much smaller, but it plays, right? And then you have to work backwards often with Elliott Wave, right? And remember, as I said earlier, Elliott Wave is just a snapshot in time, right? If price action changes, the counts change. And fortunately, with Elliott Wave, that's a feature, not a bug. So we can adapt to it. So we can work backwards. I've got a rip-roaring impulse coming in here, which means I got to work backwards, which means I'm looking to finish it here. How can I do it? Well, some people say, well, fuck, who cares, right? It's rip-roaring. Well, who cares how you... Well, you got to decide how important your rules and guidelines and your methodology is to you, right? I've said this many, many times. I was talking about this on the live stream. If you just go, oh, fuck it, right? Who cares, right? Let's buy it. Well, now you're completely rudderless. You're just winging it. You're vulnerable to every emotion, every little, oh shit, it's up, it's down. Oh, right? You have no guidance to what you're doing, right? You are truly just floundering. There have to be rules, conditions, a framework, if you have to think of it that way, a framework that guides your decision making. Otherwise, emotion will guide your decision making, and emotional trading is almost guaranteed to lose you every penny that you've got in the market. And then you'll be reloading and trying again, saying, hey, maybe this time I'll develop a structured discipline to what I'm doing that will guide my decision making. That's the advantage of Elliott Wave. There's nothing else. Well, anything that might be in that category, there's nothing better than Elliott Wave. If there was, I'd be teaching it. Now, granted, everything I teach was all taught to me. Very few adjustments that I've made personally. I mean, if you're looking at this chart, the only thing I added here that's uniquely mine is the 65, which was just an observation, watching it break the 618 over and over and over again, going, boy, it doesn't break it by much. Up on the 65, we call it a golden zone, and now we have something that, well, again, it's your choice to ignore it, but I think that would be a mistake. Okay, so Solana on the 30-minute. Now, of course, if you take this out to, let's go to a 4 hour. This is one of the best looking counts, right? I mean, you can't, let's get out to a daily here. In log scale, right? I mean, does the market move in 5s and 3s? Grab your 5th grader if you need some help with that. 1, 2, 3. Well, here we're doing the same thing, right? So here's our 2, right? So this is, you call that sharp, right? Sideways, right? Sideways, 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 and then we get a pop. So we have accumulation, expansion, accumulation, expansion. Wyckoff, right? Some rule set there would be the next best. No, some would tell you it's the best, right? But certainly there you have structure and you have guidelines and you have a methodology here that you can use to guide your decision making here. For us, right, we choose Elliott Wave. That's what was taught to me, so that's what I teach. Here's the 4: 1, 2, 3, 4 extension in the fifth. So WXYX, right? We looked at it. You can get it done. XZ, yeah, to the 65 to the tick. Right, so there we go. Now we're here. What are we doing here? Well, here's the edge of value, right? Here's POC as we went sideways here. Now I'm on a 30-minute. We go sideways. This is very, right? This is, I kept looking at this going 1, 2, 3, 4. What? All right, finally PK, set me right. It's like, okay, we can do a 1, 2 here because once the triangle formed, you were forced into it, right? Again, assuming you're applying Elliott Wave, then you have to work backwards, right? Because that's a 4. It can't be a 2, so that's a 4. So what does that mean, right? Well, then if this is the 4, this has to be the 3. Do I have an impulse there? Yes, I do. I got to come all the way back to this 1, 2. Is that what I wanted to find there? No, that's abnormal. That's, unusual, right? That we're going to do. Is that what we're going to do? Well, there's a little better balance here between these two in terms of length of time, but that wouldn't be the thing you were anticipating to come off of that low. But there it is nonetheless. Now, do we know that top is in? Well, that wouldn't be bad news. Right? And it would be perfectly logical here if we went up to the edge of value where we have all of this agreement as we sit in this pocket bouncing off of the golden zone. But that golden zone has a target up here. Right? And that algo is going to stay long till it gets there or gets stopped out down here. One or the other. Wait a second. Now we got to, what is the thing I just told you? Right? We got to remember where's out from the other side because he will be there. Whoops. Coincidence? Right? Again, I feel like just, oh, come on, dude. Something new material. Is that the point? New material? Or is the point to show you what dominates the market and should be a part of every decision you make? Golden to golden. There's probably 15 more, if at least, right? There'd be many, many more in there that I could pull out there to take the time. It's just, but here out at these major swings, low edge of value at a golden, high edge of value at a golden. Do you see how precise that is? There are no random pivots, right? I'm telling you that for many years because it was taught to me, right? There are no random pivots. There's always a reason. You just have to find it. Okay, so as we sit here, now you might look at that and say, well, does that mean it's topping here? Well, of course, we don't know, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. Don't let anyone tell you they know where it's going, right? We can hypothesize. We can apply a methodology here that will guide our decision making here. If that were the top, is that bad news? Not to me, right? That's an opportunity because right now, I'm plenty long here, but I'm looking to add. Where would I want to add? Duh, right? Wouldn't you just do the same thing? Can I add down here? I got here's point of control. Can I add right here? I don't know, right? It could break, right? We keep going. And that just gets pulled higher and higher. We get an extension in the fifth. All of that possible. But right now, as it sits here bumping in from one golden to the next, boy, I would love a retrace. Which seems counterintuitive. Oh, but you're long, right? Well, yes, I'm long, right? But from much lower, so it wouldn't bother me. But if you're looking to get in, right, you're waiting for a technical setup. Otherwise, again, you're buying the highs, right? Discount. Look at the range here. Discount or premium, right? This is obviously, right? Not to insult your intelligence. You want to buy at full retail right into a golden from the top? I'm not saying it won't go through. Of course, I would never say that. One side's going to break. They always do. Has to. Or we go sideways forever. But would you want to? No, you don't. Don't buy it there. And if it goes through, okay, that's not a problem. If it goes through, ideally, you'd want to see it come back, right? Because you can see all the structure here, right? Very common, right? If we break value to come back and test the edge of it, right? And then we can go and then maybe value pushes higher. So be careful with that stuff. That's just, if you know it's there and you buy it, well, you deserve the outcome, right? And if you get away with it, well, bad choice, right? Because then you'll do it again and again and again until the market teaches you that lesson. Okay, right. You can listen to me or you can let the market teach you, right? Mine's much less expensive. My advice. Okay. All right. So there's Solana. I got a couple more. I do always try and find things that are potentially setting up here. I've been adding in this. Okay, right. So we get, let's back up a little bit. So here's all the consolidation, right? Going into the election. Here's the outcome, right? So crypto-friendly administration. We get a pumping, very clear impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't miss it. Again, grab a fifth grader if you need one. Okay, 1, 2. What do I get here? Now I didn't quite get golden, right? Doesn't quite get there. Right at the edge of value. Right, again, I'm just pulling for the one wave down to the edge of value, a slight front run on the golden, right? And we get a little pop here. So meaning, right, I don't have to be in a golden to draw a set of median lines. I've got a corner. So I have a corner pocket. What does that mean? What am I playing here? I'm playing the 80% odds. Now, is this the target? Right? Well, that wouldn't be, well, you don't know, right? But that's the target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're trying to get up here to that median line. Or, it's the angle is not right. It's not likely to get there like this or here, likely to drift, right? Could be. I mean, I've seen it take years to get there, right? And hit something like that. Now you're in 27, 28. Don't be surprised if that's, I've seen it many times, too many times, right? So yeah, that's bull porn. But the first target here, that'd be a partial. Maybe you get if this is going to be a 3, maybe that's the 1 of 3. 2, 3, 4, 5 to get you up there. One to watch. Now, let's go down to a smaller time frame. Let's try a 2 hour. All right, if you're not in this and you're looking for an entry, well, you've got a good reaction here. It's not the prettiest. Let's get in there. It's not the prettiest impulse. So if you don't necessarily want to chase that because you don't have a lot of guidance there based on that swing structure. It's a little bit 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not ideal, but we're grinding higher, right? You've got a nice in log scale. You got a nice tight channel here, nice and tight, right? The break of the channel here is something we might want to pay attention to. You don't want to short that, right? The market's moving higher. You're looking for the next opportunity to be a buyer. So if and when we get a pivot here, we don't know. This is a target, but that's the target based on what I've drawn here, not on what we have, right? So might come down here. We're looking for the next retrace. So I'd have that on your watch list. If you get any sign of weakness here and you can get down to that 50 or to this little consolidation area here. Yeah, that's one to grab a piece of that. Very reasonable risk reward. I wouldn't let that slide by. SHIB, let's just take a quick peek at this because this is one where it's too... Yeah, I've got some of this, but this you've got a clear 5 that finishes here, but it doesn't quite make sense, right? It would be too unusual to put money at risk. ABC, we're not squeezing that into an impulse. Come on, it's not, right? I don't care who you are. Well, that's a 3. And then I got another 3 here into a candidate for the X. So your thought is, oh, well, what's the big deal? WXAB down for the Y, right? Maybe we got a new low here, right, for the 2. But you got to be careful here as Sensei PK reminded me here because I was quick to think, oh, no, that B cannot go above that X, right? If that's going to hold, right, for a master Elliottician, right? I'm not a hardcore purist, but I know that B can't go beyond that X. So AB is what you would think because there's no question I got a 5 here. It's WXA, right? This doesn't look like an impulse. So still threatening for the B to take this down for, we could double down here, something along those lines. But it's just too unclear. Don't put money at risk. So I wouldn't chase that. My suggestion, right, your call, but I wouldn't chase that. You're right what's your edge here? Are you buying in premium or discount, right? Everything that might caution you from just chasing that. If you buy it, what are you doing? You're giving into FOMO. Okay, let me see what else. Perhaps the strongest chart on the board. Excuse me. I swear to God, I don't know what to call them. Is it SUI? Do I know? Is it SUI? I don't know what the hell. I don't know how to say it. SUI or SUI, whatever it is. That is one rip-roaring bull. Okay, so here I'm on a daily. I'm out of log just to try and get some perspective. Now, if I go to log, right, it's really difficult to get into that and find the count. But the 1, 2, I'm going to guess not a lot of dispute on that. Impulse, correct, right? It's a sloppy correction. I'm on crypto here, so this is full history. It's an aggregator, so I won't get volume, but I get full history. 1, 2. Oh, what are we doing here? Well, I had to take it out of log scale to try and break it down to see if I could figure it out with an assist from PK. Unfortunately, We got to the same conclusion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 1, 2. Again, a shallow 2. When crypto's ripping, right? That's kind of a feature, right? It's something you might anticipate. Shallow 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like we've gone. Now I got to break this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. Right? A, B, C into the 2. 1, 2. Big 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Diag. Looks like we're going to finish here. That got a little bumped. Looks like we finished that there. A, B, C into the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like we're doing a diag to finish this in the 5th, but that would be the 3rd, the 5th of the, 5th of the 3rd. So putting that channeling together, let's see if we can, I think it'll be all right from this end. Looking at that. Oh, let's stay. Wait, oh, that's good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, looking for that target up here. What do we got? 6. I'll call it $6. A little bumpy here, right? The market's getting a little frothy up here. Can we get one more shot up here? Let's go down to a 1. A leading diag to start it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, right. So candidate 1. You'd like to come down here. Maybe some of this imbalance. Remember, the market's going to move from liquidity, external to internal liquidity. Where's the external? Well, it's sitting right up here. You'd have a change of character right here if we got that swing. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, well, we'd have change of character here. We'd have break of structure at the top, right? What do we anticipate after a break of structure? Right, we've been over this many times. This would be a little change of character. We can get that. All right, so we'd have a potential of a little kick here. Take this up for the 3. Now all of this potentially moves higher. Up for the 3, retrace after the break of structure into the 4, up for the 5 of 3, right? Right, very bullish. That's 3. 3, 4, 5 of 3. Retrace. Boom, we're off to the 4's got to come all the way over here. And then we're off to the moon, right? Again, that's more bull porn, but I wouldn't miss that ride. This thing is unbelievably strong. Now you put this in log scale, right? You can really, let's go to a 4, really see how strong this move is here. It's due for a correction, right? These are relatively shallow. It had something decent here, but it just keeps going. There was a beautiful golden in there. It's shocking, right? I know. Oh shit, where is it? Now I've forgotten where it was. No, I think it was here. Oh shit, I can't remember where it was. I won't dig it out, right? So you get the point, right? Was it here? Shit, I think it was here. There it is. I knew we had it, right? So here's the golden, right? It's to the tick. It's tick to tick. Do I have to keep showing it? Yeah, of course, I just don't. It's easy to forget. Swing 3 into a double at the golden. Look at the target. Remember, the target's not it's not a sell signal. It's just confirmation that it's an algo behind it, right? And what happens there? And then what do we do? To the 50. Algos move the market. It's not why it moves; it's how it moves. Okay, let me. I got. Hang on a sec. VeChain here, we looked at this, I think it was last week, right, as something to get on your watch list. Here's this one, two, you can barely squeeze it in. You can barely do it, but it's there, right? You can get a 1, 2, 3, sideways 4, 5. So we have a candidate for this, it's essentially, it's a box, right? It's an M. We get a potential candidate here for that low. Now the push off here eliminates, this is what we were just looking at, right? It can't be an X, right? So as we've gone by this here, if this is going to start to run, and we're essentially just in a straight line here, there's no retrace of any degree. So A, B, C, and you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for the 2. A little bit of a front run here on the 50. Clearly they were grabbing, there was liquidity sitting down here that was grabbed. Oh, come here, right? So we grab a little at the top, a little at the bottom, and off we go, right? So candidate now, right? You don't want to chase this now. You're kind of late, right? That's why we focused on this last week. For those of you that are regs, right, members, it's good setup here. Unfortunately, we didn't get a good what we typically would like to see, which is push, retrace, right? We didn't get it. It's just so if you weren't there, right, you might have missed that. So now you're waiting. If you did, right, so which is very understandable. If you now you're waiting. Okay, I got a straight line. We don't not easy to forget. Right at the 50, you want to buy it right now. Or maybe if you're scalping, right, to try and get to the golden zone. I wouldn't see. You never want to assume it's going to break, right? Assume it's going to hold. Always assume it's going to hold, right? Until the market proves it's broken. It's got to close beyond it. Right? That'll serve you well over time. So that's a little bit of a. Well, it wasn't a great setup, but I'd get that back on your watch list, right? Any sort of retrace, because it looks like we've got a good candidate for a 2, and this would be launching into the 1 of the 3, right? So massive upside right in here. If indeed we're working off this 50, which is reasonable as a front run, and well, we hit it here. There's your target. All right, okay, hang on. Oh, I have a lot of people ask for Ripple on this in my comments every week. I'm on a weekly here. I think if you're an Elliottician, it's going to be hard to argue with this one. 1, 2, pretty. I don't think there's any dispute that this is a 3, right? We can clearly see the 4. This is, my guys have had this for a while. I know PK's had this for a long time. 3 into this triangle, 4. Now we're ripping out of here with an impulse, right? After the litigation here seems to be, being put behind. And now there's talk of we got this highlight here of XRP, ETF, and then the Trump administration potentially, putting it into the reserve with Solana and Ripple and a few others, right? So just raging bull, right? And again, that's a weekly chart. So again, do we move in 5s and 3s? Triangle being the wild card in there. It's hard to argue with it. And then we come out. Now here's again, in log scale, if I take the length from A to B and project from the 4, okay, that's a reasonable target. Bigger target up here would be the 1618. Do we know we're going up there? Well, we're not likely to go in a straight line. So potential here is that this is 1, right, of 5, right? And we could certainly go much higher. But now we're talking $100. It's a little, okay, right? I like bull porn as much as the next guy, but that's a little crazy, right? If $10, I have a shitload of this. If it gets to $10, I may retire. Well, I said this to some of my guys because I've been accumulating this for 2 years. Because that aside, as I said, I wouldn't retire. I'd be doing this anyway. I just do it out loud. I'd probably still be here charting and trading. This isn't work for me. I'm lucky. I get to do what I enjoy. I don't consider it work. Anyway, all right, so hang on. All right, it was a long wait for this. Long wait. Now, here we go. All right, now we don't know. Right, again, I'm on a weekly. Let's go to a daily, which looks pretty good, right? Classic 4, sideways. Now, don't be overly greedy here. Right? So certainly, you got to consider the possibility that this is the 1. So if we're going to pull from this, and we're going to have say we get to the 100, right? Let's say we get to the 100, equal length of A to B. Okay, what's that going to be, right? That's likely the start of a retrace that would have you looking down here. Right, now we're back to $1.70, right? So don't overstay your welcome. Or said differently, if you're in this, and this is my intention, right? If I get up here, just $6 is my target, right? So at $6, I'm going to take some profit. Right, don't be one of those guys who rides crypto all the way up, has a net worth of $3 billion, and then gives it all back, right, on some sort of massive correction. Pay yourself along the way, right? If you've been in something like this and waded through all of that, and parked that capital there, well, here's the payoff for that patience. Get paid along the way, right? You don't want to take it all out, right? But pay yourself. Just a suggestion. Okay, I'm going to finish up here with a look at the NQ. This is a very good example of the value of having multiple counts, right? And I like to keep them side by side. So this had been the count we were looking at. And members, I've been posting about this a couple of times before today. And if we pull from here, and we're tracking what Al's up to from again, I'm on a 3-hour here, from the high to the low. If I come back here, I'm hitting the 50. If I go from the secondary pivot here, the proposed B, and I swing high to low, I'm hitting golden zone here. So we had nice reaction there. Actually, I mean, that was a pretty good little trade, right? That went down here. 394 and a quarter, right? So a nice little reaction. But so you can look there and say, oh, wait a second. wait a second, right? And this is always the conundrum. Is that ABC, right? Very reasonable to anticipate that was an ABC, and perhaps this was going to be 1, 2. Well, with these wicks blowing out above here, now careful here, right? That's a 3 hour here. You want to see it close above. We may or may not here, but it certainly looks like now we've got an impulse here. So how that means potentially the low is in down here, right? We don't want to say that with certainty, but for this count, we would have been anticipating the 3 is in, and we would have been looking for this right here. Come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us the C to finish and go, right? Here's the golden, here are the multiple targets, right? So we were posting those in the room. Well, today, right? Different story. Well, how do we adjust? Well, here's the adjustment, because you could account this a couple of different ways. So if we're going to come here with a 5, and it certainly looks like we have a good impulse, and one of the tells, right, if you're on the edge, right, did we overlap the 1? We didn't. It was spared. And if I go from the 2 through the 3, if I get it right on there, we get right to the 50, and now we're heading towards this target. Now we may or may not get there today. Looks like we may not. But that means that the low is in over here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There's the 4, 5. How do I get done there? Okay, A, right? Clear 5 down, clear 3 up. Now this is where it got a little tricky, because there's a 5 here. Let's use this one. There's a 5 here, right? Completes. Now, and then I get a 3 here. So I have to go A, B, C to give me that C. So I'm going A, B, C to give me a B. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. A, B, C into a B. I got a ripping 5 here, right? So that's what's driving that. I got a 5 here and I've got a 5 here. So how do I get out of this? Okay, well, here's the A, here's the B. So we go A, B, C, and then I get a 5 down to give me that C. So that's A, B, C to get me done. Now I'm watching here. What am I doing? That would certainly be the most probable would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Off we go to new highs. Now, we're not there yet. And you'd certainly like to see this close but beyond the golden. Here we go here. All right, look where that target is. Right, off of this 50. So to really lock and load here that we're going much higher, which I think is the general consensus, although, again, when everybody thinks something's going to happen, there's a tendency for it not to happen, right? Because we're just too long. Everybody's just too fucking long, right? So careful. That's all I'm saying. Just, again, pigs get slaughtered. So a bump here into a 2 would be just lovely, right? We'd get this. Let's see, from the high. This is the one we want to see close beyond here. We're not quite there, right? You've got this big imbalance right here. Oh, come here. Got this big imbalance right here. Right, just dealing with that. That's actually a little higher. Right here on a 3 hour. Got to get, ideally, right, we get another squirt here and we close on the outside so that we can pull that one off. Now remember, what is Al going to do? He's going to go back to the next major, which means another push, right? We got to get to the other side of that. And then there's no resistance, right? Well, there's there's resistance, but there's not resistance from Al, right? He's blown out. Right, he's now on the buy side only because there's no additional. Now, if you go up there, let's just so you can see how this will play. If we go here, right, and then we come down here, okay, when we come back this way on a smaller degree, Al will be there again because he's always there. But now we got to go this, right? Then there's nothing. How do you get more resistance? There, he'll be there again, right? He's always there on any swing, right? So as we look here, just as I was showing earlier, he was here. Right, he was right, blew right through him. Right, so again, right, people behind it, they don't care. Right, they're probably long here, looking for that target. They will stay long till they get there. Right, and then the short, right, there'll be an effort to short it. Come down here. Okay, so that should get us through. I think we've covered everything here. Okay, so let's wrap it there. Just a reminder, of course, guys, you can always join us over if you're interested in developing this skill set. Maybe you've already got it, right? we're somewhat unique in the combination of our approach, but it's a methodology that we teach, right? I try to go out of my way to not make this about me. It's about the methodology, right? I'm just teaching what was taught to me. Okay, guys, with that, I wish you a good weekend. We'll be back next week for a live stream. I hope you got a few nuggets and a few ideas, maybe a few things to put on your watch list with this, and we'll catch you next week.